I belong to Hockeytown. It's a place where dreams are found. We fought so many battles here. Now we're the ones that they will fear. The cup resides within our town. We won't stop or letting down. The cup is ours. We're all to drink. It's our time. Let's rock this ring.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockeytown Rundown. You are here with us, your beautiful hosts, once again, Carlo and Zack. Carlo, how you doing today?
We're doing good. Doing pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I'm just realizing my microphone was not in front of my face, so I apologize for that. But super rainy over here in holy Toledo land, as I like to call it. Bad for the dogs, but honestly, pretty chill day. Everyone's kind of quiet. Everyone's laying down, relaxing, except for us. We're disgruntled a little bit based on the Red Wings and how they've been playing lately. We get Larkin back. It seems to have made somewhat of a difference, but still a lot of issues going on. And I'm sure a lot of you watching and listening understand how we feel and what's going around that. Do you want to say something on that real quick?
Other than the fact that it's also raining here and also sharing the disgruntledness and highly stressed out due to this team. No, that's we can save the rest for the meat and potatoes of the episode.
Yes, because we will be jumping right into it, boys and girls. So before we continue on, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, if you're new. But if you're returning and haven't, yes, please go ahead and do that. Hit the thumbs up button. That really does help us out. You can't see my thumbs, but that's all right. And then if you're on Spotify, yes, thank you, Carlo. If we're on Spotify, go ahead and hit that follow button and rate us the 5 stars. That really does go a long way for us, as well as much as the subscribing and the thumbs up on YouTube. And so, Carlo, what do we got in store today? Well, we got the game recaps for the Red Wings losing to the Washington Capitals in overtime and then losing to the Carolina Hurricanes. Flat out shutout. It's very unfortunate. Some Red Wings news. Little bit of a main topic thing too. Not too much around the league news at all. And then obviously our honorary Red Wing mention of the week. Carlo, let's go ahead and jump into it. Talking about this Detroit Red Wings versus Washington Capitals game, where the last time the Red Wings played the Washington Capitals, we absolutely smoked them. 8-3. This time, different story. 4-3 loss in overtime. I believe it was like midway through the overtime that they ended up scoring on us.
Barely. That was a nasty goal too. It really was. Got to give credit there because it was pretty slick.
Yeah, and we'll catch up to that goal. You know, first period, honestly, the Red Wings looked really good defensively, much like they did in the Nashville Predators game. So I'll give them kudos to that, right? They did a fantastic job shutting down the Washington Capitals. Also, the Washington Capitals did a fine job shutting the Red Wings down as well. I mean, first period, shots were even 7-7. You go into the second period, Red Wings seem to have done a little bit better in that aspect because they did end up scoring 2 goals, but the scoring was opened up by the Washington Capitals' Nick Dowd. But the Red Wings were able to rebound back thanks to efforts of Alex DeBrincat from Jeff Petrie and then David Perron on the power play. Then you go into the third period with Connor McMichael, Alex Ovechkin's best friend, so to say, gets it tied up. Dylan Strome gets the breaking goal, making it 3-2. Early in the third, and then you got Showtime Patrick Kane coming up clutch once again. And I remember I said this last episode, I believe, that the Red Wings don't really have a star on their team, or at least a talented player outside of Lucas Raymond. I lied. I shouldn't have said that because that was absolutely wrong. Patrick Kane is that other player that we have, including Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin is still trying to get back up to speed after being injured for so long, but that goal by Patrick Kane, assisted by Alex DeBrincat, that's exactly what this team needs, right? Is that veteran guy to come up and show up when we need him the most, right? And he absolutely did that to put this game into overtime. And then, Dylan Strome was able to get it for the win in overtime. Alex DeBrincat and Mo Seider have an opportunity. It was basically a 2-on-1 breakaway.
Oh, man.
I don't know what happened with Alex DeBrincat's pass, but bounces off Seider's skates. Washington Capitals were able to take it down. Alex DeBrincat just couldn't catch up to that player. And so I'm pretty sure Dylan Larkin was gassed out there too, because he really wasn't skating quickly to get back to that player that was open, who happened to be Dylan Strome, and puts it away and seals the deal. Boys get a point out of it, but they desperately needed to get 2 points out of that, Carlo.
Oh.
At the end of that game, I believe that their chances for making the playoffs were still under 30%. Had they won, they would have been around the 45% threshold. Take it away from here, please.
Well, I mean, it would have been a lot better. Listen, I'll take the point all day against Washington, especially against Washington. We're gladly going to take that point. Patty Kane's goal was ridiculous. Like, he just said, that's it. Like, he literally just said, that's it, and fired that thing, and it was gorgeous. But like I said, I gladly take the point against them. Yeah, obviously we want 2 points. Hindsight's 2020. We always want 2 points, but I didn't really think that game was that bad. Like, obviously Washington scored 4 goals, so there were some mistakes that were made that ultimately did not get cleaned up for the Carolina game, which we'll get into. But it was a decent game. I think coming off of, I think the game before that was against Nashville, right? The 1-0 game against that, which I thought Detroit looked awesome. Like, they just played so tight and limited their mistakes so well. And then to come out against Washington, a team you recently beat 8-3. I don't know if I was expecting it to be like this, where it was kind of like, goals, like 2 quick goals in the third period. I don't know what it is with the starts of these games, the starts of these periods. I'm just getting very annoyed and irritated when these guys don't come out on time, because it's costing them badly. And it certainly costed them badly during the Carolina game as well. I don't want to jump ahead there. We're going to get into it. But the game itself, I mean, at this point, I'm just happy we got a point to give us still some chances. And then we did have some fortunate things go our way throughout the week with some certain teams losing and whatnot. So I just don't like relying on other teams, to get into the postseason. Like, that, it shouldn't be. I know it is that way, but it doesn't feel the same way when you do it yourself by a cushion, which they had, and then to do it betting on or banking on other teams to lose. It just doesn't feel the same way. So right now it's gut check time in every aspect of those words for this team to not only start on time, but to play for each other. Like, it just doesn't seem like they're doing that. There were a few instances of that during the Washington game. I think their second period was their strongest period of that game. Shots were 20-12 in favor of Detroit. So they were buzzing around. And then the third, and then again, like, you have such a good period like that, and then the third period to come out and they score 2 quick ones. It's just like, did your memories just get erased? Like, you just had a crazy good second period. Like, what is happening in these intermissions? Like, that's my question. Like, it's just very bizarre to me to watch these swings, not only in different games, but in different periods in the same game. The swings are crazy. Like, that's the frustrating part. I think for sure for myself, I'm sure for yourself, but I'm also sure for a lot of the fan base out there, because we're all watching these games, right? And you like, the emotions are running high. Typically emotions run high game to game, but they're running high and low period to period. And it's like, it's hard, man. Like, it's very, very hard. But again, I'll take the point. I hope it that serves us well in the long run, which is in a few weeks from now when things wrap up. But very excited to see them play against Washington. I believe it's the first week of April. That's got to be a game where you need total domination. And you know what? Frankly, it's not just that game. Like, we need to start dominating games. We've done it before. We did it for 2 months. What else can I say? What else can you say? What do you got there? I don't know. I'm not kind of at a loss for words.
Yeah, I don't know if one thing that has been mentioned for the last few weeks is that flu has been going around a lot lately. I really don't know if that plays a huge role into it, and we just don't fully understand how bad it is for some of these players. I mean, they said that Michael Rasmussen played through his sickness, right? Then you have Jake Wallman, who's been out with injury. I believe it's been lower body. He hasn't returned to the lineup. You go into this Canes game where Patrick Kane isn't playing, or Austin Czarnik isn't playing. You just got Dylan Larkin back, who didn't play for almost a whole entire month. It seemed like it was like 2 or 3 weeks, right? he's trying to get back up to the foot race too.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because of some of these players being out, or even when we have them in now, if that's it's an issue where these players are almost trying to play too much out of their skill, to where they're over gripping their stick, they're missing assignments, they're blowing passes, easy passes, they're trying to play too hard of a game, trying to be too cute with it. Time and time again, I see pucks bouncing off of sticks, passes aren't going where they're supposed to. It's a lot. And when you brought up, what's going on during these intermissions, I don't know if to me, it almost seems like the Red Wings, when they play a shutdown game in that first period, like they did during the Washington Capitals game, and then you go down, or what was it? The second period. Sorry, I said the first period. It's almost like that they play so lights out in that first, and then that second comes along, then the third. It's just so weird on how it's so wishy-washy. They flip-flop, like they pick and choose what periods they want to play well in. But I wonder if it's almost like they're playing so hard in some of those periods, and then they just get gassed by the third or the second period because they're trying to cover up for everything, right? Much like how it happened into the Canes game. And I guess we can kind of just jump from here, Carlo. I mean, the game against the Carolina Hurricanes was inexcusable. They looked fine in that first period. Granted, they were outshot 15-3. They were able to shut down the Carolina Hurricanes, who is very much a shutdown team themselves. And they do a very good job at that. And it shows right there, just in the 3 shots. I mean, we could not enter their zone and stay in there for more than 5 seconds at a time. Even on the power play, it's something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was horrible. Yeah. And so that's kind of where I'm getting at, where they played so lights out to where they had to shut down the Carolina Hurricanes in the first, and then it all just came down, right? You got scored on 4 times in that second period. You didn't let any in the third. I'm shocked, honestly. At that point, Carolina's like, well, let's just skate around for a little bit and let's just kind of go home at this point, because the shots went down and went 15, 10, then to 8. The Red Wings picked it up by the third period. Total shots 33-24, but at that point, who fucking cares? There's my one swear word right now, but who cares? You guys got to start playing on time. You got to learn how to play without key players like Patrick Kane, who was out, Austin Czarnik, who was out. Not really so much as a key player, but he plays a really important role on that 4C, if that's where we're currently playing him at, if I remember correctly. It's troubling. It's bothersome. I do believe that there is something internally going on, and it's between the players and the coaching staff. I'm not going to blame Steve Yzerman. Yes, he put this roster together, but this roster was doing good for 2 months straight, January and February. So
that's my thing, man. I don't get it. I don't get it.
You come into this month, and I don't even know what their record is this month. I could start counting down right now, but it feels like that they haven't won a game. They've won 1, 2, 3 this month so far. Out of
there's what are they? You know what? Kind of weird. Going into today's game against Florida and Detroit have the same record this month, which is crazy to think about.
That is crazy.
Yeah. I was like, wow, that's very interesting. And I guess it doesn't make me feel I don't feel like as bad as I did before, but I do, because January and February, it's like, and then you're losing in the ways you're losing, in March. And it's like, there's not a good enough excuse. There's really not. I mean, you talked about something going on with the players and the coaches, very possible. I absolutely don't think this is on Steve Yzerman, because to your point, the team was doing very well. They had that bad December. They turned it around, which was very promising. And then they go on that, crazy run where they had a fantastic record for those 2 months. And then they just go back to playing like December style hockey again in March. And that's the part that hangs me up. It's like, it's March, like it's go time. Like the playoffs are right around the corner, and you guys you're not fired up enough just in that alone to go and play a complete game for 60 minutes. That's where I question the coaching and the intensity of the coaches. And it's like, what's going on in these intermissions? Like, again, it's March. So kind of at a loss for words because of that. Are they gassed? Maybe. They're also professional athletes with world-class trainers, world-class equipment. I'm sorry, to me, that's not an excuse.
Correct. It's not.
Something needs to happen. Like something needs to happen. Something needs to change. And you need to see that, and we will see that when they're starting each period on time and they're playing the way we've seen them play. It's not like we're asking them to play in a way they have never played this season. Obviously, that's unrealistic, and we wouldn't feel this way. Like we wouldn't even ask for it. But we've seen them play away for 2 months where we're like, we're in. Like this is unreal. Like this team's clicking. They're rolling all 4 lines to a point now where it's like, oh, they lose one guy and they go on it's a fundamental breakdown. Well, again, it's like, but what about the depth you guys have been preaching all season? Because I call bullshit on that if one player goes down and you have a fundamental breakdown. Sorry, but what depth are you talking about? That's a fair question.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And that kind of goes to what I was saying in our group chat right before we started recording. Can this team just not function without having one Larkin or a Patrick Kane out there? Because that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Dylan Larkin back for against Carolina, Patrick Kane being out. Like I mentioned, it looked like they couldn't enter the zone at all, the offensive zone. And if they did, it was only Larkin, though, that was the one doing it. And they would stay in there for no more than 5 seconds. Look, I get it. Do the dump and chase. We've always whined and griped about that in the past because it never worked. But as a bad team, that's all you can really do. But when you're somewhat of a competent team like the Detroit Red Wings, where you're kind of in that middle mix, right? Trying to make the playoffs, but you could just slightly be out of it. It looks like when you're dumping and chasing that you just don't give a fuck. It really does not look like that they care. They're not playing a hard, physical, hard-nosed game out there trying to win the puck battles. And it's super annoying. It's getting really frustrating to watch them time and time again where you dump, line change, they come out of the zone, then they're in our defensive zone for what seems like forever. Something's got to give here. And then once they apply the pressure, that's just when we crack. It's bad.
Do you think that the players are getting sick and tired and annoyed with playing such a mindless system? Because it's dump and chase. They're losing the race. And I talked about this before. You lose that race. The defenseman on the other team wins it. He gets the puck. He blows past 3 forwards, and now it's a 3-on-2 the other way. So it's like, my question is, are they just getting annoyed and sick and tired and maybe insulted that they're being asked to play a system that talentless teams play? And the reason I asked that question, Zach, is because I've seen them score, and I know you have too, some very sweet goals this year where the plays were unreal. Snap, snap, snap. I heard Mickey say tic-tac-toe at least 5 times this season. They're scoring nice goals deriving from very nice plays. So, I mean, as a coach, wouldn't you be like, okay, maybe we should try to play a system that complements the players as opposed to playing a system that is boring and mindless that, oh, at least the puck's not going to be in our zone because we're going to dump it. Yeah, but 5 seconds later, it's in your zone. Like, do you know how many times I've seen them take the puck at center ice in the neutral zone and just dump it in because they got to go for a line change? Dude, why don't you just pass it back into your zone, reset up, and break out? Skilled teams do this. I think Detroit's skilled enough. I mean, listen, unless we've been lied to this year, because we're talking about all this depth that we have, we're talking about all these players that we have. We've seen all these players score some really nice goals. And yes, I'm talking about all the free agent signings, veterans or not. They've all scored, and they've all scored nice goals. Why aren't we rewarding them with their play from January and February and tweaking the system a little bit to complement them and allow them to play with the talent that they possess? This dump and chase stuff, if I was a player, I'm going to get bored of it. I'm going to get annoyed with it. And I'm probably going to respond the way we're watching them respond every game. Again, my opinion, I could be completely offside on this, but give that some thought because I don't know what else. I'm trying to think like linearly here, like based off the way the season's progressed. That's where I'm at now. It's like this system sucks.
So you talk about that. So let's talk about the roster on paper, right? I mean, right here on Daily Faceoff, I know this isn't exactly how it's supposed to look, but this is what it looks like so far. Daniel Sprong, Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond. Okay, that's fine. David Perron, JT Compher, Alex DeBrincat. That's also fine. You would put Patrick Kane in there somewhere, right? Michael Rasmussen, Andrew Kopp, Christian Fischer, Robbie Fabry, Joe Veleno. And then they have Justin Hall on the right wing. I don't know why they do. But obviously you insert Kane, that would not be the case. And then to me, there's depth on that forward end. Okay, I like that. So I don't like the depth on defense so much. I mean, we'll talk about the Jeff Petrie fiasco that has been going on all over social media lately. But this team to me does have depth, but it's not the same depth as, let's say, like Toronto or the Vegas Golden Knights or the Colorado Avalanche, where if one of their key players goes out, they're still somewhat covered. Where we've seen it, where now we're talking about Patrick Kane and Dylan Larkin. If they're out, we don't have that depth anymore because those are two of our top players that we have outside of Lucas Raymond. Imagine what this team would look like without Lucas Raymond. If we had Larkin and Kane back, it'd probably be the same thing that we're talking about right now, where there's issues entering the zone and the whole system. And I'm right there with you, where you definitely want to fit it to where it benefits your players. Let's just kind of go into the whole Jeff Petrie thing. So on that first goal that the Carolina Hurricanes scored, Carlo, was by Sebastian Aho. And a lot of you, I'm sure, have seen the photo that Prashanth put out there of how they're supposed to direct based on
Fantastic breakdown.
And Lalone came out saying that was supposed to be Michael Rasmussen's player to take on the top of that photo. Jeff Petrie tries signaling to him to tell him to go cover that player, while Jeff Petrie pinched in the middle, right where Mo Seider was, to take those two players that were there. Now, to me, as someone who never really played high-end hockey, so Carlo, you could speak on this a little bit more than I can, but to me, it was almost like Jeff Petrie should have noticed that Michael Rasmussen had tunnel vision with the puck and was focusing on the puck and not so much as the player that he should have went for. However, in my personal opinion, I know Michael Rasmussen was behind the play a little bit by like a step or two. He more than likely was still going to get beat. I still believe that Jeff Petrie should have stayed where he was or backed up a little bit more to log that passing lane. Personally, I believe that that's how it should have went down. And that's part of the system where I'm very confused, where why would Jeff Petrie move up? It's just very difficult, Carlo. Like, I am at a loss for words, and I understand why people are upset at Jeff Petrie, but I also understand why that should have been Michael Rasmussen's guy. But either way, Michael Rasmussen was getting burned on both opportunities. And I feel like with Jeff Petrie's veteran leadership and awareness on the ice, he should have recognized, personally, I believe, should have recognized what was going on, and he didn't, and it led to that scoring goal.
So no, I'm with, like, first of all, Prashanth, that was an incredible breakdown. If you're listening or if you're watching, that was amazing, and you're much appreciated in Red Wings Twitter and just the Red Wings community, because your breakdowns are always on point. And the fact that you take the time to do this when you really don't need to is awesome. So thank you for that, because it was a good breakdown. So I'm actually looking at the picture online right now where he's got the arrows of Petrie pointing to Seider and Rasmussen going wide. So my only thing is, it's like, I understand there's a system that you have to kind of respect fundamentally, but like, I'm looking at it this way, like Rasmussen's stick was literally on he was right in front of the player that Petrie wanted to go and get, while he was signaling for Ras to go to the other player, which he would not have caught at all. The guy it wouldn't have happened. So for me, it's like, why doesn't Petrie just start going wide to the guy he wants Ras to go to?
Right. And
Ras just continues to skate with his stick right on the other guy's stick. He was literally right in front of him. So it's like, why would you make it harder on yourself? Screw the system. We're in a game. This play's happening. Rasmussen is literally one stride away from this player.
Correct.
And Petrie is ahead of the guy wide. Petrie's got to take maybe 2, maybe 3 backward strides while he's cutting a little bit to the right to go and take that guy out. Trust Seider. It's your number one D-man, and his name's Moritz Seider. Let him do what he's doing, And then Rasmussen continues to skate straight right behind this guy, put his stick down, and possibly that doesn't go in the net. Again, I understand the system and I understand the whole play and what it's designed to be, but Rasmussen's right behind this guy. I don't know if you can see the image. It's got a lot of attention. 7.5 thousand views. Prashant is a legend. But that's just my take on it. I would have, if I'm Petrie, I'm skating wide. I already have a D-man on the left-hand side. I'm skating wide right, and I'm letting my center come straight down the middle to take that guy's lane away, take his stick away, bury down on him. Maybe we don't lose that game 4-0. Maybe that goal doesn't happen and the momentum's not, going nuts in their favor. So I don't know. That's my take on it. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but that's just what I would have done. And then when you actually watch the full video in real time, which I'm doing right now, again, as much as I don't want to do it. Yeah, see, again, Petrie should not have cut left. Because Ras is like, what's going on? Why are there two of us here? There's a guy like Rasmussen could not have done anything. So to put that on Ras, I don't think that's fair, man. I think if I was Ras, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't believe it's fair. I understand that that's what the system calls for, that Rasmussen should have been there. However, when you're in that type of situation in the middle of a game, I don't think I'm wrong by saying, forget the fucking system for 1 second and just stop the scoring opportunity. And that's okay. Read me out later, but at least I stopped a goal from going in. And I'll be honest with you guys. I turned off the game not only because of the technical difficulties, but because once I saw that we got scored on and then they scored on a power play opportunity right after that, I was like, well, I'm not going to turn this game back on. There's absolutely no way that they're going to get themselves back in here. And then Jeff Petrie, once again, on the third goal, just kind of standing there, not doing anything. I currently have it on my iPad right now because I'm watching it. Leaves the guy back door wide open, which is Martin Nietzsche's. And it was just a simple tap and goal for him at that point. Jeff Petrie's ability to play defense and his awareness, I get it that he is a veteran that has been to the Stanley Cup finals and that he could be a great locker room guy. But his on-ice awareness sometimes, to me, is a liability and is a big problem, especially for someone who's playing on the for defensive end, which he currently has been. And it's just not good whatsoever. And so, Carlo, let's kind of end this game right here. 4-0, Red Wings lose. It's unfortunate. 2 points were desperately needed to really keep yourself in the playoff hunts. I mean, they were very lucky that the Washington Capitals lost that night too. And so they're still kind of in the thick of things, but it's not looking pretty. But one thing I did want to talk about, because the very next day, this was actually yesterday, we are recording on Saturday, March 30th. I wanted to do a little poll. I want to say this before I say what the poll was, for those of you that did not see it on Twitter. I do not believe that actually, I should just say it first. Let's just go into it. So the tweet was a lot of discourse over Jeff Petrie lately. Who would you rather have? And for those of you that might not remember, this player was traded in the trade to acquire Jeff Petrie. And that was, would you rather have Gustav Lindstrom or Jeff Petrie? Carlo, 288 votes. 63% of people who voted, I'm assuming majority were Red Wings fans. Maybe there were some trolls out there. Who knows? 63% of them said Gustav Lindstrom. I would much rather have Jeff Petrie on my team. I did this to see what other people thought. With this losing skid that they've been on, winning only 3 games this month, 63% of Red Wings fans out of the 288 votes firmly believe that they would rather have Gustav Lindstrom, who is a depth player, mind you. There's a reason why we traded him. He probably wanted more minutes, which we couldn't give him. We could have, but we wanted someone who could fill the top 4 role if we needed him to. And that's where Jeff Petrie came in on a really low contract. It's like under $2.5 million for 1 more year after this season. Like I said, I would rather have Jeff Petrie. Are you with me on that, or would you rather have Gustav Lindstrom yourself?
I mean, you asked me this 2 days ago. I'd rather have Gustav Lindstrom just because, again, emotions, right? But no, I think you're going to take Jeff Petrie. However, you're not taking Jeff Petrie to lead the team in ice time, which he did in Carolina. I don't care if he led the team by 30 seconds. You know, I've seen comments where, well, it was only a couple seconds. We're nitpicking. It's like, you're missing the point. He should not even have cracked 18 minutes in ice time. He shouldn't have cracked 14 minutes in ice time, especially after that second period. But yeah, no, I think the right answer is Jeff Petrie, but my asterisk is not with the leading amount of ice time on the team. No chance. I mean, they're talking. I saw someone put, and I respect this opinion. Like, I respect all opinions. I respect the takes. Somebody said that, Petrie's kind of being overextended playing on the second line. It's like, okay, cool. Why is he on the second line then? Can Mata play the second line with Edvinsson? Can Gostisbehere play the second line with Edvinsson? Why is Petrie on the second line? Why does Petrie have the most minutes? He led the team in ice time during the end of the second intermission. At that point, I shut the game off. I'll be honest. I couldn't take it anymore because obviously there was nothing to watch. There was literally nothing to watch there. But then after the game finished, to go and look and see that he finished the game with the most amount of ice time. Like, can you slap me in the face any harder? Can you slap the fan base in the face any harder? Like, we're watching the game. Why is he still on the ice? So I don't know. That's just to answer your question. Yes, Jeff Petrie, but to add to it, not on the second line. Obviously, he can't handle it. He is being overextended. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a correct take. Fix the problem then. Like, take him off the second line. I don't know. Like, isn't that easy to do as a coach? Like, you sat Sprong for a week. Like, why can't you just drop him to the third line? Why can't you sit him?
Yeah, especially
when you let him catch his breath.
When you have two players like Gostisbehere and Sherratt that can both play right D, and you already have Justin Hall up, why not?
Bro,
play Justin Hall a little bit more. I don't really care at this point, but yeah, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off here, but
no, it's fine.
With the poll, I understand why some people would prefer Gustav Lindstrom over Jeff Petrie, but Gustav Lindstrom doesn't bring certain tangibles that Jeff Petrie can bring. You know, the veteran leadership, the off-ice leadership, whatever, all that stuff. He's been in the game for so long that he understands the ins and outs of it, where Gustav Lindstrom doesn't. However, Gustav Lindstrom doesn't have a no-move trade clause. Team-friendly deal. I mean, Jeff Petrie's contract is a team-friendly deal too, but you're stuck with him for another year, whether if you like it or not. Can you buy him out? Sure. Should you? Probably not. I mean, what's one more year and you just keep him on the third pair, or just make him the seventh D-man if you can going into the offseason? Just go pick up some players. Go get Chris Tanev or something. That's someone who can play top four for you. Get him on a 2-year deal if you can. Something easy, just a name out and throw it out a player. Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm choosing Jeff Petrie too. You know, as much as Gustav Lindstrom was all right, but I don't think that, imagine if we didn't make the Jeff Petrie trade. Your right-handed D side would be Gustav Lindstrom and Justin Hall. Would that make this team better now than what it currently is? In your opinion? Because I don't believe it would. I feel like we would be way worse.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. Absolutely. But you have to know, like, as a coach, you have to know when to use your tools. Like, your players are your tools.
Yeah.
Right? As a coach. So it's like, this guy can't hang in the second group. Like, he cannot hang in the second line. He is getting embarrassed. So as a coach, it's like, okay, I should probably do something about this. And that's why I have the feelings of, my feelings on this coaching staff. I am so annoyed by their lack of response to things that we're all calling out during these games. There's been zero response to them. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm just like, okay, I'm just, again, lost for words. Super disappointing. I trademarked it on Twitter. Lalonde is soft. I really think that. He doesn't know how to tell a player over a certain amount of age that he's sitting tonight or that he's dropping down to another line. You're soft, in my opinion. Like, that's just where I'm at.
It's definitely always interesting to see his comments in the post game too, because he doesn't ever seem like someone who shows a lot of emotion. He's very much straight faced, where sometimes he'll sound like he's excited, but he never really sounds like that he's pissed off. And I kind of wish that he would. I am someone who believes in a little tough love, especially in a work environment where you need to kind of, I mean, Carlo, we're both in sales, right? So we understand that a little tension kind of gets you to get your butt moving and grooving, right? And so you need your coach to do
like
that.
yes, you need some levels of intensity to set the tone. Like, I just don't think there's a tone setter in this locker room. David Perron, I can see him setting the tone. That's the only person I can see setting the tone.
Maybe Ben Sherratt. Ben Sherratt always seems like a quiet guy whenever we see him in videos, but
he's pretty intense.
Like I feel like he would be someone who would give you like a hard press, like good look in the mirror and say you're effing up, like you need to straighten up, do this, do that. But yeah, I mean, you're exactly right though. I mean, if David Perron, and let's just say, I don't know how much Patrick Kane has involved in that room, how much Ben Sherratt has involved in that room, how much Andrew Kopp has involved in that room. But if these players can't get everyone else motivated, then maybe they should be looking at these players who are wearing the A's too. The Andrew Kopps, the David Perrons. A lot of people really wanted David Perron to come back. I know you were kind of one of those people, and you were asked this by Hockeytown West the other day.
Yeah.
Are you changing your mind now?
It's I don't think so, only because, like I just said, I'm convinced that David Perron is the only person with intensity in that locker room. You bring up a good point with Sherrod, and I can see him bringing up his intensity, but David Perron is always intense. Like, I don't think, like, there's no question, there's never a doubt when he's on the ice or when he's he just looks laser focused and like his intensity's there. I don't really get the same vibe from Sherrod, but regardless, I think I like Perron, dude. I just think as a person, as an athlete, he is awesome, man. He really is. Is he limited in what he can do now? For sure, but he's still effective. I still don't know if there's anybody who can control the puck like that or muscle you off the puck like he can. He's just a maestro at it. And then you look at, well, okay, Perron goes, who's coming in, right? So it's got to be somebody who can do that, do it better, or at the same level. So for me, it's pretty simple. Like I'm gonna stick with Perron.
Yeah, for myself, I always bounce back and forth between it. Yes, I would like to have him, but then I look and I'm like, okay, well, only if he's coming back in a bottom six role, right? I mean, if there's an opportunity for him to fit in the top six, great, put him out there, right? In case of injury. I have really, and he's been doing this as of late. I don't remember seeing it too often in the beginning of the season or middle of the stretch. Lately, he has been very, very vocal out on that ice, whether if that's to his own players, coaching, refs, whoever. And that's one thing that I'm definitely appreciating about him, because he's the one who's actually showing the heart that he has out on the ice for this team and showcasing how much he loves playing for the Detroit Red Wings and being in the city of Detroit or wherever he lives, just being here in the state of Michigan. So currently I'm on the bus with you where I want him to stay. I want to re-sign him. Obviously, it comes down to term and money, how much he wants and for how long. But yeah, if I can bring him back, then I want him back, but only on a bottom six role. To be honest with you, that's where I want him. And if he can't do that for us, then you got to go out and find someone else in free agency. I don't think we have a prospect that can cover what he does. I don't know if there's even an unrestricted free agent that can do what he does.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So it's tough, right? But I guess do whatever it takes to get it done. And so, yeah. Please, Daddy P, stay. We do love you. Even though you haven't been scoring like you were last season.
Well, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that one, dude. That's a loaded statement because there's so many different reasons why that could be the case. It's just the word intensity to me is everything right now, and just the lack of it in March is crazy to me, man. Like, it's March 30th and you're playing like it's fucking October. Like,
like
learning the system.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
What's happening? Dude, do you remember last year, Lalonde, he was losing his mind behind the bench over a call. Do you remember that? He was flipping out. Like, I think he almost got a game because he was losing it. Super vocal. There's videos and clips of it all over the place. Where's that Derek Lalonde right now? But my point is like, it's March 30th. We're playing like it's October, and I'm just asking for some intensity to come back from the top down. Like, that's really all I'm asking for. Whether or not it's going to work, I don't know, but at least try something, because doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, like, can you slap me in the face any harder?
Definition of insanity, man. That's what it is. We're all going insane. The Red Wings are taking us on that train. Carlo, let's go ahead. It is. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and do let's just go ahead. We'll leave it to you. Let's do the honorary Red Wing mention of the week. Who do you got this week?
Honorary Red Wing mention of the week. This is a good one. This one we're pulling out Jan Mrsak. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's Jan Mrsak, right wing center. Played 46 games for the Detroit Red Wings over 3 seasons. One season, I think it was like a lockout. So he played like two or three games. I don't know if that lockout had anything to do with it. Or maybe it was the fact that in his 46 games with the Detroit Red Wings, he had 4 points. That could have been why he only had a handful of games in his last season with the Detroit Red Wings. But nonetheless, Jan Mrsak currently has 47 points in 38 games, 15 goals, 32 assists in the ICEHL, which is the Ice Hockey League, which is big in Austria, for those who don't know. Very big in Austria. They have 13 teams in this league. And once again, Jan Mrsak, 47 points, 38 games, 15 goals, 32 assists. Hope you're doing well, buddy. We hope you're doing well.
I hope he's doing well, too. Do you think he could bring that point production over to the Red Wings? Because they surely could use it right now, Carlo.
My question is, can you bring some intensity? Are you an intense person who will come in with intensity and hold people accountable? That's where I'm at, Zach. I don't care if you could put a puck in the net. I don't care if you can block a shot. Can you hold people accountable? Because I am, at this point, convinced that nobody can hold anybody accountable within this organization right now.
Well, hopefully Steve brings out the whip in the offseason and teaches them a thing or two, whether if that's bringing in new players or just correcting whatever's going on right now, whether if that's by the players, coaching staff, not saying Lalonde specifically, the coaching staff as a whole, and just anyone else. We're just going to have to wait and see. But Jan Mrsak, you are the Red Wing honorary mention of the week. So congratulations, buddy.
We hope you're well.
Yeah, we hope you're doing well. We miss you, buddy. And all right, Carlo, let's go ahead and jump into some Red Wings news, the little bit that we have. And we have Emmett Finney, Derek's favorite Detroit Red Wings prospect from the 2023 draft. Round 7 pick, 201 overall, signs a 3-year entry-level contract with the Detroit Red Wings. That does not kick in until next season. He is on a professional amateur tryout with the Grand Rapids Griffins. And in his time with the Kamloops Blazers in the WHL this season, in 62 games, Emmett Finney posts 19 goals, 40 assists for 59 points. Definitely breaking what he put up last season, which was 64 games, 9 goals, 26 assists for 35 points. 28 penalty minutes. Wow. He was a minus 25, but he was on a really, really bad Kamloops Blazers team in the WHL. I'm pretty sure one of the main factors of that was a lot of their veteran players, their older players, moved on, and he was the only one left standing. He did get an A this season. So he was the point leader for the team as a whole. Kind of shocked he didn't get traded anywhere else, but teams like this still need to have good players on their team. So, but good for him, honestly. I believe it was like the last goal of the season that he scored. He looked fast out there, Carlo. He looks like he could be somewhat of a really good prospect, especially for someone who was picked in the 7th round, someone to make it just to the AHL already. Honestly, that's a huge feat to beat on his own right there. So congratulations to Emmett Finney for making it to the AHL, honestly. So claps all around to you and snaps.
Oh, yeah. Huge. Huge. I think Kamloops was the worst team in the WHL this season. So for him to have, quite a great year with his point totals versus his games played is great on him, good on him. Not sure where he slots into Grand Rapids. I actually threw that question over to Nick at Hockeytown West, and he was saying possibly with ammo on the bottom six, which I'm sure he would probably naturally start there before he, he's going to have to pay his dues like anybody would. But very exciting. He's definitely got some skills and some talents, and we'd love to have him in Grand Rapids so we'd be able to pay closer attention to him and get some regular updates on him and follow him a little thoroughly to see his pathway and his development. But very exciting, and congrats. I mean, that's great news.
Yeah, very awesome for him. Yeah, I know that Amadeus Lombardi was Grand Rapids Griffins played last night on Friday, March 29th. And so Amadeus Lombardi did get second line minutes or line duty at least. But I know that Grand Rapids is having a lot of players missing their lineup. Carter Mazur's out injured. We have Austin Zarnik currently. They got Janet Timbergren back, which is nice. But now we have Zach Aston Reese called up, which was going to be my next topic. Just for the Panthers game this Saturday. I don't know if Aston Reese is going to be playing for us or not, but yeah, they're missing quite a few players down there. So Emma Finney might get a higher role to start, but I would expect him to be in the bottom six just to start. And much like you said, pay your dues, figure it out from there. But then they called up another player. I can't remember who exactly it was Grand Rapids did from the Toledo Walleye, and he ended up scoring in last night's game. And I'm going to find him in the meantime.
Well, while you're doing that and pulling that up, I think it's probably also a good time to plug the fact that Grand Rapids obviously has clinched their playoff spot, which is fantastic. I mean, they've been playing some lights out hockey as of late. And another big mention as well goes out to Sebastian Kosa, who has really been dialed in. I think he broke a record for amount of wins. I mean, he's not the first time he's had a really good second half, but this time around, his second half has been dominant. He looks phenomenal, and just wanted to shout him out, as well as the Grand Rapids Griffins, who have that X in front of their name now, which is awesome. So claps to GR and claps to Sebastian Kosa.
And Riley Sawchuk was the name that I could not get off of the top of my head. So that is the player who ended up scoring a goal. It was the first goal for the Grand Rapids, and last night's loss, I believe they lost 4-2 last night. But yeah, no, good call out on that. Yeah, the Grand Rapids Griffins making the playoffs. That's the first time since the 2018-19 season. So yeah, 5 years. I mean, I'm just going to toss a little shade. It's pretty funny to see how Grand Rapids could make it to the playoffs much quicker than the Detroit Red Wings could. Still plenty of time left for the Red Wings to make it. Not going to be the negative Nancy here, but
there is.
But it is good on the Grand Rapids Griffins. I'm kind of glad that they are making the playoffs. I think that's huge for the players, those prospects that we eventually want to bring up, the Marco Kaspers, the Elmer Soderblums, the Ammos, the eventual Johanssons, Wallanders, all these players. This is what we want them to be in. This is the kind of atmosphere that we want them to be in, and understand what it's going to take to get them into the NHL lineup, whether that's next season, the season after, whenever. We just want them to be prepared and be exposed to these types of scenarios and atmospheres, right? And so, once again, congratulations to those guys. Hard-fought season. They did not play very well at the beginning of the season, but they rebounded back hard. So, once again, congratulations to those players for doing such a job well done. And to the coaching. Great job, Dan Watson. Honestly.
Huge. It's crazy what a new coach can do. It's just a fact. I mean, it's just crazy what happens. I'm not saying anything. There's no hidden message there. I'm just saying, you brought up a good point. Grand Rapids started off, struggling, and then they started getting dialed in.
Yeah, and
the Red Wings have done the opposite. The Red Wings have done the opposite. Just saying, it's pretty incredible what a new voice can do sometimes.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about Dan Watson in our last episode. If y'all have not checked that out, go ahead and check that out. We did a collaboration with Hockeytown West podcast, and thank you to them once again. And I completely missed this, and I don't know how I did this, but if you haven't already, please go ahead and give them a follow on their socials. Go ahead and subscribe to their YouTube channel or any platform that you can find them on. Fantastic guys. They know what they're talking about. Very professional guys as well. So go ahead and give Nick and Brandon a follow over there to the Hockeytown West podcast. And so, Carlo, going into our next topic here, we're saving the best for last year before we close everything off. And so I want to talk about the 2023 draft players that we selected. The first three, actually, so we're not going to talk about all of them. So that includes Nate Danielson, Axel, Sandin, Pellikka, and Trey, Augustine, because all three of them are playing in their respected leagues in the playoffs. And so talking about Nate Danielson, he finished off this season, let's see, in 64 games, he ended up with 24 goals, 43 assists for 67 points. So over a point per game player, very fantastic. I love to see that. He did really well on a Portland Winterhawks team who was stacked compared to his Brandon Wheat Kings team, where he was the captain of them. So he has that leadership at least. And so he brought that over to Portland. And just in the one game for the Portland Winterhawks, he has 2 assists already. So he's a 2-point per game player currently. Can he keep that up? What do you think so far of Nate Danielson and since we drafted him last year?
I think Nate, he's a hound, man. He does not quit. He's got a motor in him that we saw at a young age in Dylan Larkin. We continue to see. Obviously, lots can change. He's a young guy. The hope is that he continues to develop and get better, but he does have some traits similar to Lark's with his tenacity and just his hound mentality. So he's a very exciting prospect that we hope will continue to make a difference as he kind of levels up into different leagues. And I think he will. I think he's just got that dog in him, and I'm excited to watch his development and his pathway as we go on. And, you know, like you just laid out those 3 names. We talked about this last week with the Hockeytown West boys too. Yzerman's hitting on these draft picks. Like, he's hitting very well. His conversion rate's very well. So that's just going to simmer down all the people that are all over Yzerman and everything like that with everything that's going on this season. His draft conversion rate is awesome. Like, it's really, really good. And to pick 3 guys is one thing, but to pick 3 guys who are all playing, their second season in one season, playoffs, is huge. It's huge. So, yeah, just a plug there.
No, it really is. I mean, and the fact that they were all consistent picks, like back to back to back too, right? Like Danielson, Axel, Sandin, Pellikka, Trey Augustine being selected in the second round, but early in the second round, not surprised that he was still there, but I'm very thankful that he was, obviously. But let's go ahead and talk about my favorite player that I would have drafted over Nate Danielson's spot at 9th overall, but it still worked out in our favor, right? But in the 39 games for Skellefteå AIK in the Swedish Hockey League, puts up 10 goals, 8 assists for 18 points, finished as a -9. That's okay. That's not a tall tales telling Jesus, I can't speak, whatever the phrase is, sign that he is not good defensively, because Carlo, he absolutely is a freak on the defensive end and the offensive end. But in his 4 games for the Swedish Hockey League playoffs, he has 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points in those 4 games, and he is a +1. And I watched the 3rd game right as
didn't he have like 40 minutes of ice time that game?
It was like over 42 minutes. He got the game-winning goal in triple overtime, and it was a clapper in the OV office, bro. It was insane. And I remember texting you guys. I was like, it was on the power play. Okay, so give them credit. I only watched the 3rd overtime, right? So I watched the whole entire 3rd overtime. He had some good looks. Obviously, both teams are gassed at this point, right? And so you're taking any time to chance that you can get. And so for them to go on the power play with I think it was under 5 minutes left to go in the 3rd overtime, Axel, Sandin, Pellikka during that power play, it was like the same power play unit out the whole entire power play, right? And so Axel, Sandin, Pellikka, he did almost, this isn't the bash on him because it's not his fault, he did almost next to nothing up until all he did was switch over to the left side of the ice into the face-off circle, gets that pass, rifles it, cheddar, dude, just pure cheddar of a shot. And his celebration too, just running up to the boards, jumping up on it, screaming everything. It was, bro, this kid is going to be incredible for the Detroit Red Wings, and fans should be super excited. And they even said it on the broadcast, this kid's going to be a superstar.
Yeah, I did see that.
if it's not superstar, he's definitely going to be a star in the NHL. And I know Matt Leslie always jokes about how like he could be the next Erik Karlsson. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm starting to slightly believe it. The kid is an animal.
He's good. No, he's very, very, very talented. I've seen quite a few of his highlights and just some of the things he does. Not always goals, but just some of the good things he does with the puck. He's just a different player. Obviously, super stoked to have him within the organization because he is very, very skilled, even where he's at now. And just to think that he's got 4 years ahead of him for development. Maybe less, depending. I mean, he kind of controls his own destiny in that regard. But man, it's a good time for these prospects. The prospects look specifically the 23 prospects look very, very, very exciting. At least the first 3 selections do, which is awesome. So.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and I would expect him to be signing his entry-level deal here once the playoffs end, because I don't see him playing another year in the Swedish Hockey League. I think he makes a jump over to the Grand Rapids Griffins. Sorry, Toledo. I wish he would be coming here, but he's definitely going to Grand Rapids next season. I firmly believe that, at least.
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. He's there's something about him. He's a special player, so I think he's definitely going to make a jump for sure.
So let's talk about Trey Augustine, last but not least, out of Michigan State University. And they did end up beating the Western Michigan Broncos, my alma mater. Yes, I am a Western Michigan graduate. They ended up beating Western 5-4. Trey Augustine making 34 saves, or shots against. So he made 30 saves. I don't have the actual stats in front of me, but yeah, he honestly, Carlo, even though he let in 4 goals, he looked very dominant for MSU. But I believe that the reason why MSU is number 1 in this tournament, or at least ranked one of the number 1 teams in this tournament, is because of Trey Augustine. They had that other defenseman who's in the draft, that's in this upcoming draft. I can't remember exactly his name. It starts with an L, but he looked really good out there too. But outside of that, and maybe Red Savage, I don't know how Michigan State is as highly ranked as they are, because Western Michigan, they definitely looked like that they were outplaying them a lot. So I'm very surprised. At one point, it was 4-2 Western Michigan. Very surprised on how Michigan State came and climbed their way back up. And if it wasn't for Trey Augustine, that probably wouldn't have happened. So congrats to MSU and Trey Augustine for pushing their way through. But his stats this year for MSU before going into the tournament: 34 games played, 290 goals against, and a .917 save percentage for a record of 23-8-2. And his last 10 games, Carlo, he only had 26 goals against and had a .924 save percentage, which is absolutely insane for a freshman in the NCAA. For someone like him, I'm assuming that he's probably going to play one more season in the NCAA, and then I believe that's when he's probably going to make his jump up to the Grand Rapids Griffins. And I made this comment before where I wish that we could see him and Kosa be the tandem in Grand Rapids. But if Kosa keeps on playing the way that he has been, outstandingly well, I don't think that's going to happen until we get both of them up to the NHL level. But your take on Trey?
Yeah, you know what? That's not a bad point. No, I think Trey Augustine is a gamer. I think he's awesome. His stats, and just the way he's progressed. I think since the 1920 season when he was in Honey Baked, the way he's been stepping up and advancing has been incredible. But you have to also keep in mind that it's not only him that's stepping up and advancing, but the leagues that he's stepping up and advancing in are also more advanced as well. So for him to continuously get better while the competition and the players shooting on him also get better is humongous. Does he spend another year in the NCAA? Possibly. Absolutely. Why not? It's a goalie. He's young. Let him keep going. Let him keep kind of getting that confidence. It's obviously working. His progression's been awesome. Do we see him with Kosa? I think we're going to see him eventually with Kosa. Is it going to be in GR? Is it going to be in Detroit in a couple of years? Remains to be seen. Let's see if Kosa has a good prospects tournament next season. That'll be very telling. You know
that's
what I'm
his
saying?
Kryptonite, bro. That's
his kryptonite. I know, but he has to face it, right? He's got to face it. He's got to beat it, and that's part of development. That's part of growth. Nothing grows in your comfort zone, man. So let's see what happens there. But I think there's a chance we possibly do see Kosa and Augustine in GR, whether it be for 3 months, 6 months. I don't think we would see it for an entire season, but anything's possible. And it also really is heavily reliant on what Steve Yzerman's doing with the goaltending situation in Detroit.
Right. Yeah, correct. Yeah, honestly, just a huge round of applause for Grand Rapids, the prospects, everyone all around. You're doing great. I wish I had claps for my Detroit Red Wings, but I can't until I see another win out of them. Hopefully they can do that against the Florida Panthers, who apparently aren't doing as well as they probably should be. Like you mentioned, I believe you said that they only have a few wins, just much like we do, the same record as we do so far this month. So, yeah, the Red Wings.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, they play the Florida Panthers here within the next 9 minutes, actually. So we're going to try and hop off here to catch that game. I wish we could talk about it. But Carlo, to me, honestly, I hate to say it because of how badly they dominated us last time. I just don't see us getting a win. I really don't. But you said that you saw that Patrick Kane is out on the ice this morning. So fingers crossed that he's actually playing for us today, because that would be a huge bump in the lineup for us.
Yes. He is taking warm-ups, and he was out there, doing his thing. So hopefully he does make it out there for puck drop and when the game does start. But yeah, both teams, Detroit and Florida, going into this game that is moments away, are both 3-6-1. Florida's on a 2-game losing streak. Detroit is also on a 2-game losing streak. 3-game actually, right? Because of Nashville.
3.
What's Detroit's losing streak right now? 3, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, we lost an OT. So yeah.
Oh, that's why. Okay, because the app, I was looking at the app and the way the streaks laid out, so they're probably looking at it that way because it's technically you got a point. So fair enough. So it's technically a 1-game losing streak then. Because we got that point in OT. To me, it's absolutely. You didn't win. So yeah. But they're both 3-6-1. This is going to be an interesting game. Obviously, Florida, they're a little rattled. They're at home. They're going to come out fired up. This game's going to be battle of the coaches. I'll go out there and say it. It's going to be a coaching win. Whoever wins this game, credit to their coach, because that's how this game's going to go down. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's obviously both teams got a lot to play for. Florida's at home. They're a very good team. Detroit has blown a massive cushion going into the playoffs. Every point matters for them right now. So there's a lot at stake for both these clubs. Obviously, for us, with all the biases in the world, we want Detroit to win. And let's head over to that game.
Yeah, let's go ahead and close it off here, Carlo. I'll start off with my final thoughts. My final thoughts are, let's go Red Wings as always. Loving our new merch, Carlo. It's sick. We're working on getting it for y'all. If you guys are interested in receiving something, you can get a long sleeve tee like I do, or the hoodie that I always wear. Carlo's got some fancy gear as well. We're still in the works of that, so we'll get it all figured out for you. But yeah, honestly, good looks on the Grand Rapids Griffins for making the playoffs. Congratulations to all those prospects that are doing very well in their playoff situation as well. Hopefully the Detroit Red Wings can make it there too and set a precedence for all these young players that are eventually moving up, that, it's time to get moving and grooving. Let's get some dubs. Let's get some wins, and let's try to stay positive for this Red Wings team. I know it's difficult for some people out there, but yeah, we just got to keep it steady, keep it focused, and let's see what we can do. But always remember, the expectation going into the season was not to make the playoffs. If you don't believe me that Yzerman said that, go ahead and rewatch the video of him saying that he did not expect this team to make the playoffs. Would he like to? Yes, but he's not going to shell off the prospects to make it into the playoffs at the trade deadline. So those are my final thoughts. Carlo, take it away, and let's go ahead and log off, buddy.
Keeping it nice, short, and sweet. Just win. Just win. Please. Those are my final thoughts.
All right, cool, Carlo. And from there, yes, we want to thank y'all once again for stopping by. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and then hit that thumbs up button. It really does go a long way. Rate us the 5 stars and follow us on Spotify. And until next time, have a happy Easter if you celebrate. If not, have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all on the next episode. So goodbye.
Happy Easter, everybody. See you later.